Design Salvation, episode 68.
This is Design Salvation, your lifeline to better design with Dixie and Annie. Our mission is to share our conversation with you so we can all elevate our work and lifestyle. Welcome to the fold.
This episode is sponsored by the Seattle Design Center. Since 1973, the Seattle Design Center has served the design community, design enthusiasts, builders, and architects alike. With more than 500 manufacturers represented in its 20-plus showrooms, it is a destination for creativity, imagination, and inspiration. This is the Pacific Northwest epicenter for sourcing the highest quality of diverse luxury products for the home. Check them out in Seattle's Georgetown neighborhood, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, or go to seattledesigncenter.com. Hey, y'all, it's Dixie Stark.
And Annie Lundquist.
We're Design Salvation.
And we have a really fun little visitor today.
Yes, we do. We have a guest. It's so exciting to have a guest.
Say hello, Alice Sergeant.
Yes.
Hi.
Yay.
Welcome to Seattle.
So this is a fantastic fabric designer, and you do interior design too.
I do interior
yes,
design,
I mean,
yeah.
you kind of can't do, but you have to do both in a way, right?
Yes.
And it's funny how we met.
Well, see, I did not know Alice except through you, Annie.
Yeah.
So I think you should tell the story because I think it's just fun for people to know how the connection's been made.
Well, it was a little random. I mean, I knew you through Instagram, sort of vaguely, because you would pop up in my feed and I loved it. And then I was down at a pop-up recently in Portland.
I think you posted about that.
Yeah, I was standing in line with a mask on and
Yeah, you were.
like a hat and a scarf and all covered up. And she came out, Alice came out of the pop-up and said, Annie Lundquist. And I was like, hi, who are you? And you said your name, and I wasn't quite tracking on the fabrics, but I knew you.
Uh-huh.
And but you kind of ran off.
Right.
You were,
yes.
yeah.
Well, I was with a friend.
Okay, okay.
We were there together,
Uh-huh.
and I knew I had to say hi to you
Aw.
because I recognized you.
So nice.
And then,
Well, that is phenomenal. You must
That was
have incredible recognition skills because I don't recognize anybody without a mask, much less with
No.
one. But I turned to my husband, Deke, and I said, oh my gosh, she knows me from Instagram. I felt so famous.
Well, I knew of Alice because you had a stash of her fabrics down in the design studio, and I'm down there rooting around for, projects and what have you, and I kept going, oh, look
Yeah,
at
you
this.
did.
Oh, look at
It's
this.
true.
And it was crazy. You told me about her work and, all this sort of stuff and how here we are, Pacific
are.
Northwest designer.
I know, it's pretty cool. And we like to stay local
Yeah.
when we can.
Of course.
But we want to know how the heck you got started.
Yeah.
Because you're
you got started
clearly
and how you got up
chic.
here and
Yeah, she
all of
looks
that.
adorable.
All of that.
Mm-hmm.
okay. Well, I will kind of start from the early days.
Good.
So I have Lebanese heritage. And I have family in France. And so as a young girl, my dad introduced me to France and my family in France. And
Oh.
Yeah, that's a problem. That's like introducing your daughter to horses.
so I basically fell in love with French culture, French fashion, French food, French language. And that kind of followed me all the way through my young adulthood. And I was always interested in fashion design and interior design as well. I just always looked at magazines as a child.
And exposure.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. But ended up going to school for French literature
And why was that?
because I wanted to do something more creative, but I was sort of pushed into
Yes.
a more traditional educational
Exactly.
background. So studying French actually gave me that sort of feeling of worldliness, I guess, without.
And they thought that would be such a skill that could be utilized widely in our economy, didn't they? Did your parents? Bless them.
Right,
Bless them for their support. I get it. I mean, having gone to law school, I was a little off track myself.
Yes, well, There's the practical side and the impractical side. And anyway, I followed my dream and decided after college to move to New York. And I went to study at FIT in New York.
Wow.
And I studied fashion design there.
That's good. Were you scared to move to New York? And
it's weird. I wasn't.
You weren't.
I've always been, I want to say, sort of a vagabond a little bit. I've always loved to travel, and I've always moved around a lot. I lived in LA for a while doing fashion design. I lived in New York for a while. I went and studied at Parsons Paris.
Of course you did.
So that was not a stretch to then head to New York.
No, not at all. And I didn't know anyone, and I'd never been to New York before.
Oh, good.
So it was exciting, really exciting.
So fun.
So yes, and then I ended up staying in New York and working for two really fashion influential companies, Toka and Mail.
Toka, I'm sure everyone knows their fragrances, and I mean, it's gorgeous.
Yes.
It's a gorgeous line.
And I was really introduced to working hands-on with beautiful fabrics and beautiful color stories, and all the woolens were sort of woven up, especially for their collections. And, you know, we would meet with these fabric suppliers from Scotland who had beautiful mohairs in these sherbet colors. And I just fell in love and was so inspired by working with these materials.
Yes.
And they were dream jobs because it was like my ideal sort of color and style and silhouette.
That's not often that you just launch into your perfect fit. You know, that way. That's pretty special.
I was lucky. I was really lucky.
I wonder, though, you probably already kind of had your own radar and own color sensibilities to have attracted you to those companies probably in the first place.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember having tear sheets out of fashion magazines from college when I was studying French. And so I knew about these companies and had, you know, these pictures of the original designers like Jane Mail. Oh, she was so beautiful.
Yeah.
Her aesthetic was amazing. And
so Jane Mail did the hotel in...
That was Marianne from
Toka did the hotel in Jaipur. Okay.
Yes.
Which, I mean, that sensibility, I can see that in your fabrics, that sort of worldly ethnicity, but without being super in your face. And then anyway, I love your line so much.
I do too. The linen
colors.
ground is so beautiful, and the color stories, it's evident that you came from the fashion industry to me. Like the way it's so pulled together and how you have a mix of patterns.
And the scale.
How they vary appropriately to like take one of your, collections and just boom, plop it in a room. It's like so easy to use.
So
and
how did you get
colored.
to finally decide, I'm going to print fabric?
Yeah.
I mean, I would be daunted.
I would be like, okay.
So for many years while I worked in fashion, I was obsessed with bedding and really colorful Indian bedding. Do you know the company Carrie Castle?
Yeah.
And Les Indiennes?
Yeah, beautiful.
Which aren't as colorful, but have so many beautiful motifs and things. So probably 15 years ago, I thought, okay, I really want to start a bedding line because I love pattern and I love color so much. And it was just something that never ended up happening, I guess. And I continued to work in the fashion industry. I worked for Pendleton Woolen Mills and worked closely with the woolens and really loved working with wool because I love wool so much.
I love wool too.
Who doesn't love wool?
Yeah.
That's a good drapery fabric too. I love wool drapery.
I actually do too.
That's gorgeous.
I love crewel too.
Oh yeah.
Like wool embroidery.
Oh. Is that your next?
I've tried to contact people that can help me with that and I haven't actually been able to.
It'll happen.
It will happen.
So I left work to be home with my kids. I started a family and I was home and I think seeing what was going on social media kind of, I guess, propelled me to go
say, I can do it better.
There goes that social media again.
That's great.
You can really see what people are doing. And sort of go after these dreams that you have, and dreams can become a reality. And I guess I've always been someone that is really passionate and I've always followed my dreams. And
good for you.
I have to say it's always like if you are passionate about something and you follow what you really care about, it will work out.
It works out.
It does. I agree. But I have to say, as a counterpoint, I don't like it when people say follow your passion because not everyone has one.
Well, and that's
and
true.
sometimes they don't even know what it is.
And I
that
think
is
you
true.
should just get to work and figure it out.
That's very true.
Rather than searching for years for your passions.
Agreed.
I'm just going to, there we go.
Agreed.
But I agree with you. But I feel like my path was wigglier. Yours was really fairly straight in a way.
Right.
Well, fashion is always so relatable
tied.
to interiors. I mean, the interiors are always just a little hint behind, we say.
Yes.
But fashion is the precursor. It is the forerunner. It is the foreteller of what's happening in interiors.
Well, and I think also working for fashion companies and seeing prints being created in-house, working with suppliers.
Yeah, it didn't daunt you as much.
No.
Yeah.
It's kind of something I'd been exposed to. And then I worked in Los Angeles for Earl Jeans. We used to meet with these textile collectors and they would bring in these beautiful antique prints. And so at Earl and also at other companies, we would really work with antique textiles and work with recoloring and redesigning and rescaling prints. So I had been doing some textile work for most of my fashion.
Yeah. Quite
So
some
do
time.
you take these from a historical print you've seen, or do you do your own art, or how do you come up with your beautiful patterns?
They are inspired by antique textiles. They really are. I've always been passionate about vintage and antiques and old world craftsmanship. And yes, so these are inspired by documents.
But I have to say, I love the era you're in here.
I-
You know what I mean? Because so many current designers of fabrics, it seems to me, are doing sort of the retro.
Yeah, they've hit that
I
kind
love
of
this.
retro mid-century vibe, and they've kind
I'm
of gotten
tired of it.
stuck there. And what Annie and I have noticed, Alice, is that in the past year plus, we've just noticed this resurgence, and I think it will be even more so now that we're in our homes more, this resurgence of going back to pattern, color, traditional influences, even if it does have a modern twist. And I will say that although I look at your textile and I immediately think of, a more traditional setting, look how modern this can also be because of the way it is printed, the color palette, and just the overall layout of the pattern.
There's a freshness to it.
Very fresh.
I mean, having said that, then some of these are just so kind of Robert Keim, but
and they kind of are
more,
a throwback.
I love it. I love them.
But in a much, like you said, more fresh sensibility.
Well, Dix, remember last week we talked about making old new again, and that's what this feels like.
Yeah,
you've
it
really
totally
done
does.
that with, and
totally
because
does.
you have such a good eye. I mean, you've
This
done
palette
it right.
is just so fun.
Delish.
And what I'm noticing and what I really like about this is that these are all like secondary colors. So you're not looking at primary, like bright red.
Yeah.
You're not looking at boom, bright yellow. It's a saffron and it's a kind of a hint of a raspberry and a teal and this beautiful
And the
strawberry
aubergine.
pink and the aubergine. And then
Those are my
this
favorite
little,
colors.
like more of an ode to avocado. Like that is what's so beautiful about all of these textiles. So that's kind of fun.
So we should do like a little, I don't know, could we give away a few of your samples or like a
a
sample
little packet we
package
could
if we
send
could come
out?
up? Yeah.
Sure,
Could we?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, do a little sample
I'll figure
packet.
out
That would
how
be
we- or just-
fantastic.
Like the first 2 people to email us
Yes.
at, what's our email?
It's either Annie or Dixie at designsalvation.com.
Thank you.
You decide. Annie at designsalvation.com or Dixie at designsalvation.com.
Just email us and
we'll send you
the
out
first
some of
two,
these lovely
we'll do a little Alice Sergeant
samples.
package.
Well, I have more questions.
Yeah,
Hold on.
we have
we're
more.
not
No,
done.
no,
We're
we're
not
done.
done.
No. I jumped
We're not
ahead
done.
maybe, but-
Okay, so tell me. So your fabric is stocked here in the States, is
Yes,
that right?
it is. Mhm.
And then tell us about is your printing process or mills or where you're getting all this beautiful ground material? Tell us a little bit about the textiles.
Okay, the fabric itself comes from Ireland. It's an 8-ounce linen. Most of them are printed on 8-ounce linen. So it's kind of an in-between weight between something really light and upholstery. I think it works really well with upholstery. I've seen
it totally could.
chairs, but then also curtains and pillows. It's I think it's the right weight.
I think it is
kind
too.
of cover that whole area.
Yes.
So fabric comes from Ireland. Everything is printed in the United States.
Nice.
Everything is screen printed by hand.
You can tell.
No digital printing here. This print, Fleur Sauvage, is one of my newest prints. This is actually rotary printed.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
So that means because these motifs are spaced far apart, if you hand screen print this, you're going to have join lines where each square screen overlaps, and then you'll have lines. So if I wanted to have these motifs further away, then I need to rotary print. And so it's going through, it's still like ink printing. It's not, I don't know if it's
to go through natural. A roller.
It goes through a roller.
Yeah.
Yes. That is how it is done.
Very cool.
It's a beautiful process.
Okay, so I have a question about, so you print on this beautiful linen, which I agree with you. It works well for drapery, it works for upholstery, it works across the board. But one of my big beefs, and Dixie's heard me yak about this forever, is nobody prints on that older, thinner cotton that Luminach did.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little polished, but
it's not over polished.
Right.
No,
it's not over polished, but it has a really light weight to it. Could you
do that?
Look into that for me, please? Because I would love to have.
Annie's having
I can't find it
meltdown
anyway.
over this.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely going to look at
Okay.
it.
Yay!
Now I have my mind
Thinking.
spinning. I'm thinking, yes, I like that idea. Yeah, I do like that idea.
I love that.
And
Thank you.
I think that's something that could be paired with this beautifully.
Well, I do too. And I
but
also,
you could
what I
use
also
it on
know,
its own.
it's very French, honey. So
it is very French.
Let's get that French
Let's get
thing
that
going.
French thing going between you two. My goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, my Lordy. Oh, my gosh. So how would a designer find you now? Or how would, I don't know, anybody find you right now?
Well, I think a
Because
lot
you're
of
in Portland
people,
based.
I am Portland based. I don't know that many people actually know that. But it's okay. I'll put that out there. I am
There you go, girl.
based. Designers have found me through Instagram. I think a lot of people have found me through Instagram. I'm also at many showrooms. I am at Temple Studios in New York City.
Okay.
I am at Charles Spada showroom in Boston.
Nice.
I'm at the Well Made Home in Northern California. I'm at Tissu Helen in London. I'm at Travis & Company in Atlanta. And I am at Wells Abbott in Texas. And I'm joining Hive Trade Showroom in Palm Beach, Florida.
Oh my
Fantastic.
gosh.
And the fact that you just rattled that off the top of your head is really,
Maybe
really
it was too
impressive.
much information.
No, it wasn't.
That's so great because we have people that follow our podcast, designers and design curious all over the world. So,
so
we
they
need
can go
to know how to
Charles Spada,
access
or they can go
your
to
textiles.
Tissu Helen, or they can, they're going to run right over there. And say,
yeah.
Alice Sergeant, please.
Alice Sergeant. Oh my gosh, it's just so beautifully done. Is there anything that you want us to know about you? Like, I love even your logo. Like, I love it so much.
I'm glad you like that. I drew that myself.
Oh,
Did you?
Of course
it was,
you did.
A motif that I had seen on a vintage dress. And it was just this really pretty tiny little piece of a pattern. And
It's really charming. It represents you beautifully. It's a good fit. And I like your font too. We're font freaks. So Alice Sergeant
it's all
is,
about
I'm going to
everything.
spell this for people because
Yeah,
it's
not.
Sergeant.
Yeah.
I want to make sure when you go to Instagram. And is it Alice Sergeant Textiles?
It is.
Yeah. Okay. I should know that.
Actually, my Instagram is alice.sergeant.
Yeah.
And
Ours is too. Ours is design.salvation, but if you just pop it up there,
it shows
yours
that.
too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yours too. I don't know why that is, but
And at this point, I don't want to change it.
No,
of course not.
No,
Of course not.
No.
But I love that everybody can see what you're doing. I think that you are quite a master and forerunner in the industry. I love these boutique lines. As a designer, there's something to be said for those that have been around for a long time and, this, that, and the other. And they do have to speak to the masses and all of that. But the boutique lines are just like any other boutique you would go into. You're getting something unique and special. It's not something that's just so out there. And so as a creative, when you come to your clients with something that's new and fresh, Wow.
They're so appreciative.
They're so appreciative. That's what you're
It
being
makes us
hired
look good.
for.
Mhm.
Yeah, it makes us look good. And that's, as a designer, that's what you're being hired for. And so it just, is a feather in a designer's cap.
The other thing we need to do for Alice is
What's that?
We need to have a little designer showing here for her.
We should do that.
And because she's not at a
We'll get her to
showroom
come-
up here,
we'll-
so we'll have to, we'll be the showroom.
We'll get you to come up from
Yeah.
Portland again.
We'll do that.
And we'll just have a little, we like these little mini parties. We'll just do one.
We'll do a little mini party.
Yeah.
That'd be really fun.
Thank you for joining us today. We're so grateful that you came to show us your textiles and that you came to visit with us. And we will absolutely have this up on the IG, and anybody that wants to get a few little samples.
Yes, email us.
Yeah.
Chop, chop.
Yeah, email us. Chop, chop. We'll talk to you next week. Ciao for now.
Ciao for now.
Hey, y'all. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can also find us at designsalvation.com, where we'll have the past podcasts listed as well as show notes. Hope to see you there.